Hello everyone, and welcome to True Words Aren't Beautiful. Today we are going to start off with the primary inspiration for the name of this channel, True Words Aren't Beautiful, which comes from the 81st chapter of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. Today we're going to look at the first chapter of the Tao Te Ching, two different translations, or rather interpretations of the Tao Te Ching, which I'll start by reading the Jane English and Feng Diafu translation. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of the 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one sees the manifestations. These two spring from the same source, but differ in name. This appears as darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery. Some of you may grasp that and appreciate it, others may be scratching their heads. Now let me read to you one of my favorite translations, which is a very streetwise version of it from Ron Hogan. If you can talk about it, it ain't Tao. If it has a name, it's just another thing. Tao doesn't have a name. Names are for ordinary things. Stop wanting stuff. It keeps you from seeing what's real. When you want stuff, all you see are things. These two statements have the same meaning. Figure them out, and you've got it made. Yes, that is the actual translation, or rather interpretation, of the first chapter of the Tao Te Ching. And it's very appealing because it cuts right to one person's interpretation of the essence of the Tao Te Ching. I'm going to go to terabest.who's list of Tao Te Ching translations and pick a random one here to read it aloud as well, just to give you some other comparison. I'll give you Ursula K. Le Guin's translation right now, who happens to be one of my favorite science fiction authors. Oh, what a coincidence. It is the one-up sound from my text alert message on my phone. Carlos Castaneda would call that the universe punctuating or emphasizing something. Alright, here is Ursula K. Le Guin's translation. The way you can go isn't the real way. The name you can say isn't the real name. Heaven and earth begin in the unnamed. Name's the mother of the 10,000 things. So the unwanting soul sees what's hidden, and the ever-wanting soul sees only what it wants. Two things, one origin, but different in name. Whose identity is mystery? Mystery of all mysteries, the door to the hidden. Now, let me give you another translation from Thomas Cleary. A way can be a guide, but not a fixed path. Names can be given, but not permanent labels. Non-being is called the beginning of heaven and earth. Being is called the mother of all things. Always passionless, thereby observe the subtle. Ever intent, thereby observe the apparent. These two come from the same source, but differ in name. Both are considered mysteries. The mystery of mysteries is the gateway of all marvels. Now, let us pull up another one. I just saw an interesting one from Aleister Crowley and Wayne Dyer. Two interesting individuals. Aleister Crowley, well-known magician, and Wayne Dyer, the guy who wrote The Power of Intent and other wonderful books for self-improvement. Crowley. The Tao path is not the all Tao. The name is not the thing named. Unmanifested, it is the secret father of heaven and earth. Manifested, it is their mother. To understand this mystery, one must be fulfilling one's will, and if one is not thus free, one will but gain a smattering of it. The Tao is one, and the De but a phase thereof. The abyss of this mystery is the portal of the serpent wonder. I'm sorry, but I can't comprehend Crowley for the life of me. Now, here is Wayne Dyer's approach, which will be the first time I'm actually reading through it, so I'm enjoying it with you as well. Let me just go past the introductions. Very long introduction here. I mean, all these are available freely for you to read. And you can look at the website, which I will list in the description. Alright, let's see. Sorry, give me a second. I just discovered this right now. So, I do not know where this first chapter is. Oh, there it is. How silly of me. No, it just took me right to the beginning. This is a PDF document which is probably not organized as well as I would love it to, but bear with me for a second. But I would still recommend anything by Wayne Dyer, simply because the guy knows what he's talking about. The guy, well, at least for me, helped me a lot during one of my previous mental health crises back in grad school. Here it is. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The Tao is both named and nameless. As nameless, it is the origin of all things. As named, it is the mother of 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one sees only manifestations. And the mystery itself is the doorway to all understanding. Oh, he basically just got Jane English's and Feng Jiafu's translation right there for his book. Okay. So we already went through there. We took an extra minute for this video. I apologize, but that's where we are. Okay, so now that we have some context, some extended introduction to this video, I want to talk about some recent conflicts I've had with a couple of individuals, and how people perceive reality has really, really no bearing on who you are. As I mentioned in the last video, which you should be watching if you're following this channel in chronological order, no one has cornered the market share of the multiverse and reality. I say that because we are responsible for our own karma, for our own learning, and our own life path. The just do shit philosophy is living the best life you can, being honest with yourself, and finding your soul calling, which is what I've been doing. I'm a little over 56% done with my journey right now. And obviously, there will be obstacles, there will be insights, there will be rewards. As long as you're open, things will come your way. So I want to describe the way I was characterized by one of my teachers in spirituality and a person who I had conflict with. The person who I had conflict with said that I'm being impulsive and that I'm having a trauma trigger because I have CPTSD, or rather, I was diagnosed with CPTSD before. The thing with diagnoses is you are not set in stone. These may characterize some of your behaviors and patterns, but this is not going to hold true forever, especially if, upon being diagnosed again, you do not carry any of these characteristics, then you no longer have CPTSD. You no longer have bipolar. This can vary. This can also be changed from time to time. One person's opinion might say you have bipolar type 2, another person might say you have borderline, another person says you're just fine. Whatever it is, criteria will always change, reality changes, people change. Nothing is ever the same, which is a lesson in Taoism, the Tao Te Ching, Buddhism, and it is universal knowledge that things and people change. So, when someone is calling me impulsive and says this is just a trauma trigger, and that I'm not acting rationally, this might describe me. This might describe that person themselves, for better or for worse. But what I can see here is it is this person's level of understanding and projection of their own experiences and frameworks to understand reality and say, oh, this is what I see. Where it becomes a problem is when they're telling me or telling you what they see and that they see something you don't and you can't. Opinions, whether they're informed or ill-informed, are information. How you validate them is a different story. You can either fulfill someone's framework, try to be a people pleaser, or show that you have no conviction in your own values and your own beliefs and purpose. On the other hand, one of my spiritual teachers said, when you're very realized, highly realized spiritual beings and gurus have no patterns. They are spontaneous. So, in one framework, being if you're spontaneous, you're impulsive, and you must be mentally unwell. In another framework, you're highly realized. The quality of understanding and the validation of which one is more appropriate a characterization really depends. If a person is running into many obstacles and problems, they might be going through a trigger, or they might have zero self-awareness. If they're spontaneous and life is just flowing, then they have no sense of self. And that's a good thing, because they've risen above the self, above the ego mechanism. Another example of this is a friend who told me what his life was like when he had no money, when he had money, and we went back to having, or being perceived as having no money. When he held a high position and title and a lot of wealth, people wanted him to keep talking. They paid just to have him open his mouth. Once he lost a lot of money, everyone told him he should be more humble. What this tells me is madness and genius, enlightenment and insanity. One common metric I've seen in the material world is money is what determines the value of someone's insights and someone's behavior. I only found out recently that, according to a couple of people in the new frameworks, I might be neurodivergent. Back in my day, my kind of behavior and outlook on life was just that of an artist and that of an intellectual. We're all a bit crazy is what I feel, and we're all trying to be authentic to ourselves and what our purpose is. If we retroactively use that framework of being neurodivergent or being on the autism spectrum, then we might look at some artists and some creative individuals as being on the spectrum or being neurodivergent. Those definitions, those characterizations, those criteria change, just like Asperger's technically is something people will no longer default to as a diagnosis. Some people, however, like to keep the Asperger's diagnosis because they've made it their identity. Everything revolves around identity, and the common theme and question of this channel, which is, who are you? And in my case, who is Johnny C? Like my shirt, it was given to me as a reward for climbing KD2LM, where I almost died. So, part of that conflict I had recently with an individual comes down to a very silly thing about not tipping the event host. Saying that, oh, you should tip, you're ungrateful, and you're cheap. And I say, no, that doesn't really happen here. It would insult the person. Oh, you're just making excuses, you don't listen to people, you don't care about anyone else's opinions. And I say, I know the culture better than you, you've never been here, and I know this individual. Even more, you should tip the person. And the person is listening to all this and saying, why is this person imposing on me? What does this person know about what I want or what's best? I'm just doing what needs to be done because things need to be done, not because I'm expecting a tip. And eventually this exploded into, I don't care about other people's opinions, I don't care about this person, and I didn't pick up on hints that this person's asking for help just as much as I am, and I say, look, I'm focused on my own healing and self-improvement. If you're going to hint to me, I am not a mind reader. If you want my support, spell it out. I looked at the message history. At no point in time was anything spelled out directly. Implicitly, the particular call for help was not spelled out. It was not even implied as happening in the present. It was something that happened in the past. So, suddenly, I'm an asshole to this person. This person and their partner admired me and held me in high esteem, but as soon as the disagreement comes, I'm an asshole. At the flip of a switch, your close friends can become your enemies, just like your enemies can become your friends, just like the yin and yang symbol, which is actually properly called the Tai Chi. So, this later evolved, again, into opinions, just like changing your financial value changes people's opinions of you. Once someone is pissed off at you, everything you do, as spelled out in that first chapter of the Tao Te Ching, to them will be reinforcement of their negative opinion of you. Just like if someone likes you, anything you do is reinforcement of their positive opinion of you. You can just be sitting there or walking there. Look at this guy. Look at him walk like he's an asshole. Look at him sitting there. Look at him sitting there like some entitled asshole. But I'm just sitting there. Reminds me of an old Zen story where there was a guy standing atop a sand dune, and 3 guys were arguing about what he was doing and why he was there. One said, oh, he's trying to get away from it all. Another one said, no, he's admiring the view. Another one said, no, he's lonely. When they go up to him, they asked him which of those 3 things he was. He said, none of them, I'm just here. So, this says more about those 3 individuals projecting their view onto reality and on this individual who has no part of it. Everything is that reflection of what you perceive and what you see. Whether I'm crazy or enlightened, I don't pretend to be one or the other. I just say, as Eminem says, I'm whatever you say I am, because if I wasn't, why would you say I am? Good, bad, as Ash says in Army of Darkness, I'm the one of the gun. But that's it. Opinions are opinions. Views are views. People think differently, for better or for worse. I was then asked to reflect on this. And when I reflected, instead of coming to the same conclusions they did, I actually reinforced my own view, and they said, okay, you will never change. And that's sad. No matter what you do, you'll always be the same person. Such a shame. I want nothing to do with you. Then the other person of that power couple said, oh, you've changed. You're worse than you were before. And I'm just, okay, so the partner says, I will never change. The person who scorned with me says, I changed. Both things are true, and yet none of them are true. Neither of them are true. Just like the symbol for this channel, if you're wondering what it is, which looks like a twisted yin and yang or Tai Chi symbol, it's actually called yin, yang, and yuan. Yuan is neither yin nor yang, yet both. And that's the thing with opinions. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I hear you out. I always tell people, I hear you loud and clear. That doesn't mean I have to agree with you. I'm responsible for what I say and what I do, but not how you feel. Because no matter what I say or what I do to tiptoe around your feelings, if you've made conclusions about me, you will find offense in anything I say. You will find disagreement in anything I say, because you're looking for it. There's this one video I saw, which is an experiment. Several women were told that they would be given facial scarring makeup and then given an interview, a job interview, to see what would happen with them. Secretly, the makeup artists on their way out said, oh, let's just touch things up. And they removed the facial scarring that the women saw momentarily in the mirror. When they did the job interviews, they had a bunch of comments, and they came back saying that they felt discriminated against for their facial scarring. Later on, everyone revealed on camera that, nope, there were no facial scars on these women when they were given their job interviews. Every criticism that was given to them had nothing to do with facial scars because the interviews did not see any facial scars. But these women believed that they had facial scarring, and therefore there must be discrimination. Going back to that first chapter of the Tao Te Ching, if you look for criticism and discrimination, that's all you will see. So, these people who have beef with me, who were once my friends, they see nothing but malice coming out of my mouth. They do not accept that I had good intentions. They say, oh, you think you have good intentions, but it doesn't come out. Okay. But at the same time, I can have bad intentions, and someone who really loves me can say, oh, I'm sure you don't really mean that. This is why, as one of my martial yoga teachers told me before, go empty and don't conclude. Because if I conclude and I just say these 2 people are fucking assholes, then they will be fucking assholes, and I will be a fucking asshole, and the bridge is burned. And yet, I've discovered time and again, friends come and go, and many times they come back. And other times, friends you thought would never leave forever. Who cares? I am not responsible for their karma. That includes how they perceive me. I am not responsible for how they feel about me. I'm responsible for how I feel. I don't have any beef with these people. I just think someone tied their pantyhose into a knot. And I just think that is a great topic to broach for today's video, because I like to share, and I see that this is a sign of growth. Some people may say that I'm an opportunist. Some people may say that I'm not growing and there's a sign that I'm not growing, or that I'm looking for people to validate my own opinion, and I'm looking for yes men. And I can say, you're right. Whatever it is, you're right. I'm not going to argue. There is no point in arguing with people because everyone is right and I am wrong. This all comes down to everyone's biggest fear, everyone's biggest problem in the world these days is control and micromanagement. Famous saying, man plans, God laughs. But I'd like to add something to that, which is people love to talk. The level of analysis, again, if we're looking at current events, such as Ukraine and Russia, or we're looking at Israel and Palestine, whenever I look at social media, I see everyone trying to comment and educate others. I have no say in that. I don't know anything about the situation, and I don't say that because I don't follow the news. I say because what news is being fed to us is what they are allowed to share that is not confidential. I am not behind the policy making there. Information can change from time to time and update. What we once knew with complete certainty later on becomes absolutely ridiculous when looking back once new information comes out. So, why pretend to know? Why pretend to understand? Why analyze? Why hypothesize? I have no control about what's going on in Israel and Palestine. I have no control about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. What I do have control of is there are people who I care about who fled Ukraine. There are people I know who live in Israel who I worry about. I care about them. I care about people I know whose family is in Palestine. So, I have no say in the matter. I'm not going to analyze it. I'm just going to say the people who hurt that I care about. The human suffering that is in the world, that is important to me to eliminate. I don't know how we're going to eliminate suffering. I don't know how we're going to end conflict. I just want it to end in the best way possible. But to talk about it, to hypothesize, to argue, and to call someone stupid for not agreeing with you or not sharing your crusade, it's a waste of time and causes another level of suffering because all you're doing is creating disharmony and discord. I am not the person going through that karma over there. I am not the person with the karma to make decisions to change anything. What I am is a human individual who feels and empathizes with the suffering going around, and I want it to stop. When I see people angry with me, past me would be saying, "Oh, fuck you. How dare you treat me like that?" Me, I just say, me right now, that is. In the future, that could change. I could be better, I could be worse. But me right now just says, I'm not responsible for how they feel. I don't know why they make the conclusions they do. But right now, what's important to me is I'm moving forward. Whether you agree with me or not is irrelevant. The quality of my life right now reflects how much progress I'm making. If you see a pattern that is toxic, if you see a pattern that is positive, that is what you see, but it may not be the reality of things. Anyway, that is about as much as I would like to share for this video. Thank you for sitting through this. I will see you again if you enjoyed this.